Music. Welcome back to the 13th Destiny podcast with Magnum. I'm your host, James Magnum Cook. And of course, my co-host, who has been with us for a few weeks now, Danielle Long, is standing by on the phone out there in San Diego.
Hello.
There she is. Coming to us from San Diego as always. And we are going to get started. Now, I don't have a lot of news this week. I do have something, which is kind of ironic. It's actually from the main news out of San Antonio Express News, and it's about ghostly encounter. She sparked her interest in paranormal activity, but she actually used to be a skeptic. Veronica Barista, I believe is how you say this name. If I butchered it, I apologize, but that's the best pronunciation I have on it. Was a skeptic about encounters of the ghostly kind until she said one happened to her. So apparently she was 19 years old back in 1990 and living down in Florida. And it was midnight, and she had just turned off the TV when a big white circle appeared at her apartment doorway. Fear flashed over her, according to the story. Inside the circle, just a few feet away, she saw the face of her father, Donald Blackburn. Died when she was only 9 years old, when he called her Boo Boo, his nickname for this lady. Frantic, she called her mother in San Antonio, shared her weird experience. Her mother shared disturbing news of her own. Said he'd just come to my room as well. Wow, her mom said, and asked where you were. And so this brush with this unexplained phenomenon apparently sparked a complete interest in her paranormal activity that she would start doing. A year later, she moved to San Antonio to help her sister, began researching phenomena beyond the typical type, understanding the science behind it. Since she was a child, she could feel something was going to happen. She gets chills. Ooh, I know how she feels about that one. So anyway, she said that she never really paid attention to it when she was younger. Apparently she's 53 now. Now it makes sense. And she created the Afterlife Paranormal Society with family members to explore supernatural happenings. So this is a story that is on, I'm not going to read the whole story. I'll just give you basically the briefing of this. But this is on the San Antonio Express News, and I thought this was very interesting. So this was about 9 hours ago, just before we decided to do the show today. And also a very happy birthday to my co-host, which is her birthday today, by the way. So we get that out of the way. And so anyway, we're going to start with a couple of stories. I'm going to start with one over here from Western Kentucky University, which is the major university here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where I live. Ironically, Officer John Wallen, who I mentioned and dedicated one of the previous shows to, has talked to me about some of the paranormal activity up there. I didn't talk to him about this directly, and that he would take me on a tour at some point. Of course, we got to get that all cleared because we don't want to interfere with anything with his police duties. So I've got that option. Hopefully we'll be able to do that soon. But anyway, right now we're going to talk about Van Meter Hall, and it's one of the popular buildings on the campus. And the building was constructed back in 1911, and so there's a. You're not hearing any of that noise, I hope. Well, that's interesting. Are you hearing any noise, Danielle, on your end, or is it just me hearing stuff?
No noise.
Okay. Well, it stopped all of a sudden. That's weird. All right. So I don't know. It may have just been a drag on the mic. I think that might have happened one time before. So let's talk about the legends and folklore. So Western Kentucky University, as I said, has many ghost stories. In one of the such stories, Van Meter Hall is haunted by a ghost of a construction worker who was killed in a fall from the auditorium stage during renovation. A popular legend states that the construction worker died in 1909 after seeing an airplane for the first 1909 after seeing an airplane for the first time. Other versions of this tale. So this is an ongoing tale that has some different versions, which I find interesting too. Refer to the death of an actress, a hermit living beneath the hall, or the one-time president of the university, Henry Hardin Carey. The date of the supposed death is anytime between 1909 and 1940. So there's not an accurate account on this. However, the ghost is accredited with moving furniture overnight. Yes, I have heard this. John did mention a little bit, not about things, but didn't give me the building. So this probably goes back to some of the stuff he was talking to me about. It also has been accredited for turning off lights. No one around that could be turning them off. No explanation for that. Also, and causing massive computer problems in that area. Now, I have a story related to Van Meter. A lot of people know that DoorDash here, and of course people on the show know that DoorDash still. I actually tried to make a delivery to Van Meter not too long ago. And my GPS, it messes up sometimes, but in that area, it just completely messed up. It was horrible. And, I basically kind of knew where I was going. And I'm like, it was later that I was getting more information about the ghosts and stuff. Now, there's more to this story as well. Lots and lots of students have talked about they've heard footsteps behind them and look down hallways and stuff, and no one is there. And this is something else that has been ongoing at the university. It's no one playing pranks or anything like that. There's never anyone caught doing anything. It literally is like someone just literally walking up behind you. And I've heard from a couple that they still hear the footsteps even after they turn, and there's no one there. It's a little disturbing, especially those who don't know about these buildings. Some of these buildings are older. They're not as well lit as some. They're well lit, for safety reasons, but they're not as well lit as what you would think about modern stuff. Both my mom and sister went to the university there, and so I know about some of these buildings and how they're kind of lit. And there's some weird things that go on there that don't make sense. So apparently, Van Meter Hall is haunted. And but it's got a bunch of different stories and folklore behind it. I would love to dig into it, maybe a lot more on a deeper story, especially if I get to do a tour of some of these buildings with my friend John Wallen. So hopefully we get that all worked out, and that would be a great thing to talk about on the show, especially if we had anything happen while we were out there, doing that. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that one, and then I'll have another story coming up, but we're going to give Danielle time to talk about a haunted story from either from San Diego or from wherever else she's got. I hadn't talked to her overnight to get all of that information. So anyway, we will move forward. Danielle, take it away.
Hi.
There you are.
Okay, so the place I have, the haunted place I have in San Diego, California, is called the Hotel del Coronado, often referred to as the Del. It's a historic beachfront hotel located in Coronado, San Diego, California. It has a rich history, and it's been the subject of various haunting legends. The hotel was built in 1888 and is known for its stunning Victorian architecture. It's been a popular destination for celebrities, dignitaries, and travelers over the years. The Del has a significant place in history. It hasn't hosted presidents and royalty and famous figures, including Thomas Edison and Marilyn Monroe. It's also noted for being one of the largest wooden structures in the USA. It has a timeless charm, and it's a very popular destination for beachgoers and travelers alike. It's proximally to the Pacific Ocean. It's iconic, has a red roof, and it's made a symbolism of Southern California. The hotel has witnessed numerous significant events throughout its history, including hosting the 1920 Democratic National Convention, serving as a training facility for the U.S. Navy during World War II. The Dell has undergone several renovations and expansions over the years to maintain its grandeur and appeal to guests. One of the hauntings, one of the rooms in the hotel is room 3327. It's perhaps the most famous when it comes to recorded ghostly encounters. Many guests who have stayed in this room have reported unusual experiences. Some guests have seen a dark, shadowy figure standing near the window. Others have reported voices, flicker of lights that turn on and off, veins that move all of a sudden, unexplained temperature drops, and unusual sounds within the room. Some have reported the sensation of being touched or a feeling of presence in the room when no one else is there. And in this room 3327, there's this woman who they think that she was the one that's they see by the window. And her name is Kate Morgan, and she stayed in room 3327. And I'm going to give a little bit of background on Kate Morgan. She died there. Let's see her background here. And her maiden name was Kate Farmer. She was born in Fremont County, Iowa, around the year of 1864. Her mother died September 23rd, 1865, at the age of 2. Young Kate was sent to live with her maternal grandfather. On November 9th, 1870, Kate's father, George Washington Farmer, was appointed to be the postmaster. He married in 1871, fathered 2 more daughters, then moved to Texas, where he died in 1876. On December 30th, 1885, Kate married Thomas Edwin Morgan, and they had one child, a boy, born October 31st, 1886. He only lived to be 2 days old. Around 1890, Kate Morgan ran off with Albert Allen, a stepson of Thomas' stepmother, Emily Dennison Allen Morgan. This relationship did not appear to have lasted, although there are a few records of Morgan's life at this time. The next time she was reported sighted, she was ill and alone. Her next appearance was at the Hotel del Coronado in 1892. She arrived on November 24th, checking in under the name Miss Lottie A. Bernard, Detroit. The staff reported that she seemed ladylike, beautiful, reserved, and well-dressed, but troubled and very melancholy. Kate was found dead on November 29, 1892, on the exterior staircase of the Hotel del Coronado, leading to the beach, of what was to believe to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. But the bullet in her head didn't match the gun she had. There was 5 days. Okay, so this was 5 days after checking into the hotel. A San Francisco lawyer, Alan May, speculated in the 1880s that her death involved foul play. Evidence for the alleged homicide was a passing statement during the coroner's inquest that the bullet found in her head did not match her own gun. There are many theories as to how Kate Morgan died. However, none have been confirmed. There have been many punitive, ghostly sightings and other potential paranormal events at the Hotel del Coronado since then. There's been books on this called The Beautiful Stranger about Kate Morgan, The Ghost of Kate Morgan, The Hotel del Coronado. There are more books about it. So I just told a story about Kate, and that's the biggest legend there, that she had died. And the one thing that I think about, they said the bullet didn't match, and they said it was a suicide, yet I find it unlikely. I would find it, if she was going to commit suicide, she probably would have done it alone in her room. But since they found it on the outside stairs, this is my own opinion, going to the beach, it just seems a little odd to me that that's where she would commit suicide. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I don't know. But, there's been a lot of, it's a pretty haunted place. And I've heard a lot through the years. And I've also been there. If anyone want to visit, it's a very beautiful place, the Hotel del Coronado. Very, very beautiful.
Yeah, I've been there too. It's really nice.
And that's the story I have for today.
That is a great story, and I love your interjection there about that, because as a former investigator, the whole thing about being the wrong bullet. I mean, that's just today. I think that would be so like just they'd be all over that today. That was a different time, and you didn't have the kind of investigators that we have now. You certainly didn't have the crime scene investigators that we have now. I believe now it would be totally different, and I would have to go along with your opinion that it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, the haunting. But now going back to something I said earlier about violence and stuff on a previous show, about a lot of times there's a lot of ghosts that are related to stuff like that, and that would make a lot of sense. Even not necessarily to suicide, but more so for if she were murdered. And an interesting thing, I don't know. I don't have all the background you have in front of you, and of course I only know a little bit of this story from visiting and myself out there. I did know of this story. I'm glad you brought this story up. I just haven't researched all of it, but it's interesting, that you have her ghost, and of course there's some other ghosts as well, but that's the biggest one, and maybe it's unsettling because maybe that's what part of the problem is, something that we've talked about before. You're unsettled, but because it's not what really happened. And one more thing I'll interject here before I go over to my next story, is from the investigative side, that definitely rings more of a murder. And today, did you check the gun for whether or not the gun had been fired? Did you check for whether? See, that'd be all the stuff we do today. Things that back then I don't think they were really as homed in on that stuff as they are now. But I think even back then, somebody should have wait a minute, the bullet doesn't match. It doesn't make sense. But hey, that's just my opinion. But anyway, that's a great story, Danielle. And yeah, the hotel is beautiful.
Thank you.
The hotel is.
Yeah, I would. You would think they. I couldn't find more information on.
Really.
Like the investigation part of it, and. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot because, it was back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
So, I don't... I couldn't find a lot, and I don't know how much investigation they did on that.
Probably not much.
Yeah. I don't know.
From the sounds of it, probably not much. They probably just ruled it suicide and let it go. I mean, you've got a gunshot wound and you've got a gun in someone's hand, but... that rings something of like a placement too when you find out the bullet's not matching the gun. So
anyway. The Hotel del Coronado is pretty haunted,
and
it is really beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Really beautiful.
It is extremely beautiful, and where it sits at with the beach and everything. And like I said, I've been there. He's been there.
Oh yeah,
It's just it's just amazing.
It's gorgeous over there in Coronado.
Yeah, we can't really explain it unless you've been there. I mean, even pictures are really, really nice, but unless you've been there, you can't really explain how nice it really is. But trust me, if you ever get a chance to go out there, it's a great place to visit, and it's certainly one of the big things on the San Diego if you go out there. So anyway, we will move along to I believe I'm talking about Leap Castle, and I believe if I'm correct on this, that's over in Ireland. Let's see, I think I'm right about that. I had my notes here somewhere, Danielle, but I may have to. Yeah, it is Ireland. I was going to say I thought I had Ireland on here. So it's Ireland's most haunted. Hold on, I think it's its most haunted place, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's its castle, the most haunted castle in Ireland. So it is. It's listed as the most haunted. So it's been standing for over 700 years. This 13th century castle has been witness to all kinds of history. It has stood through bloody histories and lives lost, love affairs, babies born, all kinds of stuff like that. But let's take a look inside of Leaf Castle's Ireland's most haunted castle. So the castle in question, and like I said, it goes back to the 13th century, built by the O'Bannon clan. In late 15th century, it came under the rule of a violent and deadly O'Carroll clan, setting off the castle's bloody history. The Irish castle was passed from father to son for generations, with murders by oppositions, rival families, and even their own clan, punctuating the O'Carroll's brutal history at the castle. By the mid-17th century, the castle moved into the hands of the Darby family, spearheaded by Jonathan Darby, the second excuse me, had a little trouble with my mouth today. Cromwellian soldier and his wife Mildred Darby. Sorry about the folks, that's on me. Again, as a standard during this time, the castle's power was passed again from father to son for years to come. Post Darby's another powerful clan, the Ryans, held the stronghold on the magnificent manor. Revenge, rivalry, and power played pivoted roles in shaping this castle's history throughout the 18th and 19th centuries. Having lived long in the hands of those who swore allegiance to the British Crown, the castle represented turbulence and pain for many Irish locals. As a result of this, the castle was burned down in July of 1922. Without a doubt, its history offered death and deterrent beyond belief. Entire battalions have lost their lives and family members murdered. With all of this being said, it comes as no surprise. Leap Castle is Ireland's most haunted place. The ghost sightings and poltergeist activity is off the scale at this castle. Many claim that ghosts wander the castle walls, corridors, and endless archways of the Leap Castle in County Offaly, I believe is how you say that. Many paranormal investigators have taken place in the castle at night. In fact, so many recognize this historic house as one of Ireland's spookiest that it has attracted paranormal investigators worldwide, including ones here from the United States. TV shows such as The Scariest Places on Earth, Most Haunted Ghosts, Internet, they've all had this on their shows and stuff. And Ghost Adventures, I believe, is one of the other ones that's been on. You have it's called the Bloody Chapel, located on the castle grounds. The now burnt-out shell of the castle is one of the grounds of Leap Castle remains of the most haunted settings in the estate. People say that during the rule of O'Carroll's, that the awful murder occurred. Many believe that O'Carroll killed his brother, a priest who was at the time performing a mass in the chapel to gain power. Ooh, talk about some bad blood background here. So today, many generations have reports of light streaming from barren windows at nightfall, the smell of burning rubber, and even the spirit of a murdered priest lurking the stairway has often been reported on the ghost stories. So You have that, and since the burning in 1922, the priest's house remains nothing but a derelict run. I apologize. I had some problems with my mouth earlier today. And I'm having apparently that's giving me some issues talking, so I'll apologize for that. Apparitions, however, have been cited for long before it was set alight. Even Mildred Darby, the former resident of the Leap Castle, cites paranormal activity. There is something heavy that lies on people's beds and snores. They feel the weight of a great body pressing against them in a room in the priest's house. So, there's some poltergeist activity at this location. There's ghost activity at this location. Let's see, what else is going on at this location? So there's, let's see, I'm trying to get these different stories all put together here. The ghost of Leap Castle, Emily and Charlotte. Okay, here's an interesting one. Among the dark histories of this castle is the tale of Emily and Charlotte. You can spot the ghost of these two little girls in the main hall of Ireland's most haunted house. They lived on the estate in the 1600s. Emily died at 11 after falling from the castle's battlements. Today, there are still sightings of the little girl falling from its great heights, only to disappear before reaching the ground. Charlotte is seen dragging a deformed leg in tow. Ooh, that's kind of scary. And then there's the governess and the old man, ghosts who roam Ireland's most haunted castle. One of the other stories of this. So this story is kind of got some multiple layers because of everything that's happened there. So these two apparitions also seen sporadically in separate instances. You might even see the governess also referred to it as the nanny, alongside Emily and Charlotte. On occasion, visitors see the old man sitting in a comfy armchair, enjoying the heat in front of the main hall's grand fireplace. So if you're into paranormal activity, I'm going to stop the stories now because there's so much on this. So it is the most haunted place in Ireland, and there is a ton of stuff on it. I could have probably gone on for quite some time, but I didn't want to do that because there are so many stories you can research from this castle, and so many different variations of things that you can see here at this location, according to people who visited there, according to paranormal investigators who have been there. So it is a very heavy paranormal site from around the world, and certainly Ireland says it is their most haunted location. So anyway, that's what I have on the castle. And Danielle, do you have anything else to interject into that, or do you have another story coming up?
That seems pretty scary stuff.
That is some scary stuff. I got to admit,
People still go there?
Yes, they still visit there, and they still have paranormal investigators that go there and conduct paranormal investigations.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah. I found it interesting because it's a burnout location. A lot of times burnout locations here in the States, what happens here is a lot of times they're condemned, they're told you, or they're cordoned off where you can't get to them and you're not allowed to trespass on them. It just depends on the situation, obviously. But yeah, a lot of times here that's not allowed. But I guess from what I'm reading, it looks like Ireland is encouraging it, especially the paranormal investigators. So I guess they're okay with what's going on there. What else, Danielle?
Well, interesting stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Really scary.
Very, very scary.
It's good for Halloween, if anyone goes there for Halloween.
Right. Couldn't go there for Halloween right now. Well, you could go to WKU here with me, or you could go to the hotel there in San Diego, especially the hotel. Western's a little bit harder to get on. So, well, actually not. I mean, I'm on a Western's campus probably almost every day delivering stuff. But as far as just going in buildings and stuff, you got to be extremely careful about what you're doing, because I mean, it is an active university. And like I said, my friend that's the police officer has said that he will take me on tour and stuff. So that I mean, I'm going to be with him, obviously. So he's going to be able to get me access to stuff. So I would love to talk more when we get access to the buildings and stuff. That's going to be a lot of fun once we get that, be able to do that. And back to Danielle. What else does Danielle have for me today? Anything?
I found not a whole lot of information, but there's a place It is pretty famous and frequently cited haunted locations. Is one of them is called the Borley Rectory in England.
Okay.
Its location is on the village of Borley, Essex, England.
Mm-hmm.
It was a large Gothic style rectory, a clergyman's residence that gained notoriety for being haunted. History. It's built in 1863. The Borley Rectory had a long history of reported paranormal occurrences. Residents, clergymen, and visitors claim to have experienced strange phenomena such as unexplained footsteps, apparitions, and ghostly voices. In the early 20th century, the Borley Rectory was famously dubbed the most haunted house in England. The legend surrounds the rectory's hauntings were primarily popularized by paranormal investigator Harry Price, who conducted investigations at the location in the 1930s. Some reported paranormal activity, including sightings of a ghostly nun, spectral figures, poltergeist activity, and mysterious writings on the walls have been noted there. But in 1939, the Borley Rectory was destroyed by a fire of unknown origin. The ruins have since been demolished and a new building stands on the site. Borley Rectory remains a famous and debated case of paranormal investigations. While some consider it a classic example of a haunted location, others believe that many of the reported phenomena can be explained by natural causes, hoax, or suggestible witnesses. So that place has also inspired books and documentaries and continues to be a topic of interest for those intrigued by the supernatural. I think, it was known for, so the nun, there was a nun, according to the legend, the ghostly apparition of a nun was frequently seen at Borley Rectory. Witnesses described her as wearing a flowing white gown and a veil, typical of a nun's suit, what they wear. The ghostly nun was often seen walking through the gardens and surrounding areas of the rectory. She was described as peaceful and melancholic, and she would glide silently, often disappearing into the thin air. Some variations of the story claim that the nun's presence was linked to a tragic love affair between her and a monk, leading her to be bricked up alive in the walls of the rectory as punishment. So the story of the ghostly nun contributed to the story's reputation as a haunted location and was popularized by paranormal investigator Harry Price, which I already said. So that's the legend of the ghostly nun remains like one of the most significant aspects of the rectory. So I think that's pretty scary to watch a nun walking around that place.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have for you there on that.
Well,
it was supposed to. It is a famous place, and it was really, really, really haunted.
Yeah. Well, the whole backstory you gave there about the nun being put on the wall and then people seeing this walking around. Yeah, that's that could.
Yeah, there's no more information on that.
Really, really, that's all there is.
She was, her name, like, maybe it was a made-up story?
I don't...
possible? You know how stories get,
right.
Down through the years? Maybe someone saw that? I don't know. I don't know
that it was a completely made-up story. It might have been. It could be. But I've seen The Nun and then people saying that. Here's what my take on that would be, not knowing 100%, like not getting a lot of background on that. Obviously, a love affair between the monk and the nun. That's back. There's scandals today, but man, back then, whoo.
Yeah, it's a major no-no.
Yeah.
That's so, to be buried and bricked in a wall alive is disgusting. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like, right?
So, and there's no other background. So no one can prove this, right?
Yeah.
As far as the skeleton or anything in there, anybody know that?
Yeah. There's just not much.
Huh. Yeah, not a lot of information there.
Story there. That's about all I got. I thought I'd get more. I did it.
I feel you on what we're doing. And we try to do some research every week, and sometimes we get some good stuff, and sometimes we get very limited stuff. But we're working on that, and hopefully this will keep getting better. But we're getting there. Especially since we've tried to do a weekly show now, and I'll see where are we at, 6 or 7 now. I've lost track again. I gotta look it up. But anyway, Danielle, I got another small story out here from the Kentucky side, which is a well-known, because it's even been featured in Courier Journal out of Louisville, Kentucky, and that is the Mitchell Hill Road tragic prom couple, and it's kind of a creepy story in a way, and but there's also some legend to it. So it's kind of like one of those things. Again, there's stories to this, and there's legends behind it. So here's what it is. We'll talk about the Mitchell Hill Road's tragic prom couple. I'll give you a little brief information here on that, and you can also look that one up as well. Most of the stuff that me and Danielle talk about, you can look up, but it's good to talk about and have some interaction. At the top of Mitchell Hill Road is a cemetery, and legend says buried there is a girl who died at the bottom of the hill in a car crash in the 1940s when she and her boyfriend were on their way to the prom. Okay, prom story. Apparently, some people have reported seeing the girl on top of the hill wearing her prom dress, wandering through the cemetery, walking along the road. The stretch of the road where the accident happened is known as Hot Rod Haven because it was a popular, dangerous place for teenagers to race their cars in the mid 20th century. According to Keith Age, a director of the Louisville Ghost Hunter Society, county records show an accident similar to the one described in the legend did occur on September the 23rd, 1946, when Roy Clark and Sarah Mitchell were on their way to a school dance. However, a search online of archives of the graves at Mitchell Hill Cemetery did not yield any gravestones that named Roy Clark. 2 women named Sarah Mitchell have gravestones in the cemetery, but neither of them at an unusually early age. However, this continues to happen. This is kind of a legend, but it's a story that's known here, and there are tons. And that's what it says. There's tons of eyewitnesses accounts, which I don't know I think that's just how they're wording that, of this girl and the prom dress and everything. And there's even a couple of stories that says that people have tried to approach it, she just disappears. Now that's scary, especially at night, because according to this pretty much always happens at night. These encounters have always happened at night. Which, that makes it even more interesting, especially at the cemetery, doesn't it? Anyway, check that out sometime too, and I'm sure there's probably a little bit more information out there, but this was just a brief story with some other stories out here from the Kentucky area. So anyway, I hope all of you have enjoyed all of that, and our show today, and I'm going to ask Danielle if she has anything else to add at all, or if she wants to talk about this just for a few minutes.
No. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yes. Happy Halloween. Halloween is
Happy Halloween. And if you guys have any ghost stories, send them over to us. We'd love to put it on the air.
Absolutely.
Do you have an email for that?
I'm gonna get. I meant to get a new. I meant to get a new Gmail for this, and I will get a new one for the show before next week. I totally apologize. There's some people know how to contact me through the 13th Destiny Podcast Facebook. You can send them there as well. But I will get in a fish. Kick me in the butt here that I need to get this before our next show.
Okay.
Because that's something I need to get. I need to get.
I love to hear from people on their stories. And we could put we'll put one together. I think we could put one together with people's different stories.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
Yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah, and real quick back to Halloween. So let me tell you the difference between my Halloween coming up tomorrow and Danielle's Halloween. So we don't know when people are going to listen to the podcast, but this is the funny part. So here it is in Kentucky, and we are about to get hit with like a hard freeze tonight into tomorrow. And Danielle's got what kind of weather out there in San Diego right now?
It's just dropping into the 50s at night, and it's going to be, today it's supposed to be is it 86 or 80? See, we're having we're having a low of 50, 51, 52, and then high of 80 something, 85, 86, 84, 87, somewhere in there. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's beautiful weather.
Yeah. Well, if before I close out, if anybody doesn't know this, now I know this, and people have been to San Diego, people who live there, they know. San Diego is actually listed as the best weather in the United States. Believe it or not, it is the best weather. I mean, it is. I mean, you don't really have a lot of extremes normally. When you do, it's a pretty wild ride, but most of the time, your weather's really, really good.
Yeah, it's the weather here is absolutely wonderful. Lots and lots of things to do.
Yep.
It's just a really nice. It's just so expensive to live.
Yeah, that's
very nice to come visit.
Oh, I love to visit there. But as far as living there, that's Danielle. Hats off to Danielle. Let me tell you, because it is. She's right. It's a very expensive place to live. But as far as visiting it is a beautiful place to visit. There is a ton of things to do. Just be sure to make sure that you plan that out, and be sure. Trust me, because I plan out my visits now, and but yeah, beautiful place. I have loved every visit I've ever been there. It's a lovely place. Except maybe that time that I got put in the Airbnb and I didn't have the air conditioning. But anyway, that's another story for another time. Yeah, that was a wild ride. That was a wild ride, wasn't it? But anyway, well, anyway, I'm going to get ready to close the show out. And Danielle, you can say goodbye from San Diego, and we'll go from there.
Bye, everybody. Happy Halloween.
Absolutely.
See you next time, next week. All right.
Next week. All right.
All right.
And now, thank you for being here on the 13th Destiny Podcast. And Danielle has just signed off from us from San Diego. And I am your host, James Magnum Cook. God bless all of you. And now the music.